Welcome back to Galaxy Tenants. My name is Carly, and co-producing this episode is my husband, Jay. On today's episode, we head to Slab City for a conversation with builder Bill, and we feature another exclusive track from Naryan Padmanabha. But first, a reading titled I Miss Taos.
I miss Taos. I miss the Stone's Throw drive to Taos, New Mexico, where the roads begin to wind through majestic valleys outside of Denver, Colorado. I miss the towering San Juan Mountains and their beautiful snow-capped peaks. I miss wandering through the labyrinth outside of the desolate UFO watchtower with its hopeful cashier selling retreats under the viewing platform. I miss the great sand dunes and the spring river that flows at its base. I miss Caviero's Mexican buffet in Alamosa and the potential for excessive day drinking in the middle of nowhere. I miss the New Mexico desert creeping in and the ever-increasing splashes of color contrasting adobe roofs. I miss concerts and festivals at Taos Mesa Brewing with a radio station broadcasting from the adjacent airstream. I miss pursuing hatch chili peppers and beautiful pottery. I miss the surprising 2.5 feet of snow and sipping beers in motel jacuzzis. I miss Taos. All right, so we're here today with Bill Ammon, affectionately known in Slab City as Builder Bill. You're sort of a community leader from what I can gauge, a musician, and an all-around good guy, it appears.
The way I see it.
Can you kind of give folks an idea of what Slab City is and give us a little bit about your background?
Well, Slab City is a place that had been a military training base in World War II, and in the middle 50s, the military abandoned the base, and it's a Section 36, which has a special category in California. They're all designated to benefit the education system. And I think this particular one is assigned to the Teachers Retirement Fund or something. But it's still owned by the state of California, State Lands Commission, who you deal with. And people have been living here pretty much continuously since 1956, and there's been generations of people and generations of social, I don't want to call it structure, but social environments, right, that have changed over the years, and it's got a reputation for folks being of a self-sufficient, not the agro prepper guys, but people who have not found themselves less than able to live in the outside world, what you would call the world, and created a small, safe environment. I mean, nothing's safe, but it's safe from the pressures of society, rents and police and
sure. Some folks have said it's like the last lawless place in America. And do you feel that to be true?
Well, an old friend of mine coined the phrase "the last free place," and what he meant was that it's not that it doesn't cost you anything to live here, because you have to put out a lot of effort and a lot of equipment and stuff to live here that you wouldn't have to if you lived in the city, but it's the last free space because you can stand on the earth and breathe the air without incurring any particular debt or law enforcement or whatever, you could just be here. And
it sounds really nice. How did you end up in the slabs? What's your story, Bill?
Well, I, I call us refugees here, and certainly I am, because I used to work in construction and factories, and in construction, when the job's done, you got to go find another one, right? And so you get in your late 40s, a little gray hair, that gets harder and harder to do, and pretty soon you're living in a van on the street in San Diego, and then, well, then the little old ladies complain because you're searching cans in their dumpster, and the police are after you, and you get a ticket because you couldn't afford your registration. And then a couple months later, you get another ticket because you couldn't afford to pay that. And pretty soon you have to get out. And so I had heard about Slab City from some of the snowbirds would spend their summers in San Diego, where I was when I was living in a van. So we were, I was just a bum on the street, and they were tourists, I guess. And so, but we lived on the same beach. So I heard about Slab City, and when I had to get out of town, where else was I going to go?
Right. When did you arrive in the slabs?
98.
98.
Yeah. So, and of course, I came here with a little pickup truck with a camper shell and a couple of tools and nothing else. But I was able to be here. I was able to spend the next 10 days sleeping off a 3-year crystal binge.
Wow.
You would have got arrested if you tried that in San Diego.
Absolutely.
Just lay down to sleep for 10 days, only go out to get food. And you wouldn't make it if you're homeless,
Right.
But
society, most of society isn't set up for the protection of folks who are homeless, and it shows quite a flaw in America that we don't take care of everybody when we have the means to do so.
Well, when I was homeless in San Diego, and they were talking about the growing homeless population even then, and they were all talking about these big elaborate programs in finding houses. You know what the average homeless person wants from the government? A porta can and a water faucet, and to be left alone. That's what they want. They want to be left alone. It'd be real nice if they had a porta can and a water faucet. Right.
Doesn't seem like that's asking too much in a country like the United States of America.
Yeah, you'd think so. Yeah. And why do they try, if you're living in a van, right? Why do they hound you and hunt you down and literally persecute you just for trying to exist,
Yeah, what other choice do you have at that point? It doesn't. I don't understand how that works. And so I live in Denver, Colorado, and the mayor here is constantly doing sweeps of the homeless camp, and without any sort of solution to this, any sort of compassion, I don't know how you move ahead trying to tackle this without a human solution.
Even the police. Well, I won't tell you my story about my own personal police officer. That's a different one. But the guy said, he described it as stirring the flies, because he'd come and run all the homeless people out, and they'd go away until he went away, and they'd come right back, right? And I was surely one of them.
And then, so you find Slab City then, and how long before your vision of the range takes shape? And can you tell people about what the range is?
The range is the county describes it as an unlicensed dance hall, but it's really just a stage I built on one of the slabs here at Slab City, and it's grown over the years to where it has a little reputation, sometimes even worldwide. I'm kind of proud of that.
Well, I want to speak to that real quick, and this gives me an opportunity to kind of give you a little praise, in that I found out about Slab City, like a lot of people, through the movie Into the Wild From there, I did a deep dive into YouTube, and while doing so, I found so many documentaries and films and live streams about the range. And to paint a picture for you, I live in Denver, Colorado, and I have friends all over the country who watch the live streams of the range and know of you and know of what you're doing all over the country.
Well, that's a thing that happened. This is a true story. This is how I describe it. I've been here maybe 3 or 4 years. By then, I'd been the trash man, and I was dig your sewer hole, and whatever job you had, I was there, right? Because I had to eat, right? And I used to say I earned my daily bread daily, because there was no job, no paycheck, and so I tell the story like this. One night, it's really hot out here. It'd be 120 degrees in the daytime. Sometimes even stays 100 at night. And you go to take a shower, and you dry off, and you dry off, and you're still sticky wet, right? So I walked out on the slab to air dry, and I looked up to the sky and the stars were looking down with their perfect pinpoint eyes, and I said, well, you've decided that I have to live here, but how the hell is a guy going to meet a girl in a desolate ass town like this? And the stars looked down upon me and said, what are you going to do about it? Now I swear that's a true story. Whether it happened in the cosmos or in my own brain, it's still a true story.
Cosmic guidance, maybe.
And so I can't remember. Had I already had the idea of the range as a figment of my imagination? I probably had. And I was working and I said, well, this is public land. They're going to just sweep me away. And it'd be dust that like nothing. I never did anything, right? But then I looked down the road to Leonard Knight, to Salvation Mountain. And this is 20 years ago, but he had already been going 17 years or something at that time, building that thing.
Wow.
But he fucked with it. Little skirmishes and stuff, but he was still there, right? So I told myself, what's your excuse now? And I started out thinking a lot smaller. There had been a few guys that would to get their beer on Saturday night. They go play guitar at some of the snowbirds camps or parties and stuff, but there was no real establishment of performances and music, and so I thought, okay, let's get a couple of these guys together and put them on a stage and see if people come around, and we'll have a little bit bigger party, And at that time, I was thinking completely on local terms, just us, But right away, it started drawing attention. And in fact, the Into the Wild thing came pretty earlier. And there was another band that came. And literally guys from the city walking around saying, wow, I didn't know this was here. Let's do a show, And it started growing like that. And it started out, we had, the little box amplifier that you'd put in an office to tell your employees to come to the meeting and stuff,
Yeah.
We had 2 of those, each one sitting on top of a stereo speaker. One with a microphone and one with the guitar plugged in. And we were running on poor boys. You know what a poor boy is?
I don't.
A poor boy is a lawnmower engine and a car alternator.
How'd it sound?
Compared to what went before, great.
How about what came after?
Well, I worked on the facility putting up a chrome bumper fence, and I got a couple of old school buses, and started assembling the thing. And I put up these telephone poles. That's what really drew people's attention, and people were really looking at me like, even calling me crazy. Oh, what are you doing? You know.
There's a fine line between crazy and brilliance, though.
And my now life partner sat on the slab across the street one day. This is just before I'd opened up and before we had met. And she's sitting there talking with her friend and says, "Who the hell's going to start a country bar out here?" But on opening day, there was 100 people showed up. Blew me away. And let's see. Flintstone chased TZ away with a gun and a knife. And Barbara stuck him with a cattle prod before that. All in the opening night party, man.
Really sets the pace for chaos moving forward.
Yeah, it was a little. I hardly ever have to look down the sight of anybody's gun anymore. It's really calmed down some.
That's a good thing. I think that what you're providing for people is essential. It's such an important thing in a society or in a community or in a group, is to have entertainment and music and a place to express the arts. And we enjoy watching it from here. And
yeah, it amazed me that, I mean, I was just trying to stir a little social life, because everybody here lived a kind of an isolated sort of way in those days, you know. I mean, there were clubs and stuff, but each one was its own little clique. And I had no idea how much effect it was going to have on that opening night. But it really has made a difference in the way the people of the town see ourselves, you know.
I think it also has changed the perspective for the way others see you guys too.
And and that relates to a strategy I actually had at the beginning, with the worry about the authorities coming and sweeping us away, and I'm still not legal, although I'm getting established as a nonprofit now, and it should. If I can get everything organized, I'll be able to fall under completely different rules than the unlicensed dance hall.
That has a nice ring to it, though.
There was a biker organization, not an organization, Built Well. It's a company that makes chopper handlebars and fenders and stuff like that. Well, they decided they were going to have an event out here, and they brought 300 bikers and a truckload of whiskey. With a truck.
I never pictured you doing corporate events.
Well, the guy was kind of a cheapskate. I mean, he did supply the truckload of whiskey, but I guess he figured he'd spend enough money then. But see, all those bikers, they'd paid whatever fee it was to be part of that party. So they didn't think they had to throw nothing in the tip jar. So it ended up being a bust for me. But there was an event with the sheriff's department, where there used to be a guy here who junked cars for a living. He'd scrap them out and sell the parts, and illegally, of course, on public land. And he died finally, but there was still one car body left, just the body, a unibody with nothing on it. Not even the seatbelts were left in it. And the bikers threw some gas on it and lit it off, right? And the fire department came, put it out, and they went away, and the bikers lit it up again, right? So one sheriff's deputy wades into the 300 drunken bikers, right? and starts to scold them on how they shouldn't be doing that. One of the biker cold cocks him. Pow!
Oh my God.
And he says to the other cop, "Get your buddy out of here while you still can." Well, you can imagine that the Imperial County Sheriff's Department didn't take too kindly to that. Well, about a year later, this guy wanted to do a film event, make a big, 10 bands concert festival thing, And he shows up with 2 busloads of people. And in the Imperial County Sheriff's Department, there's 13 cop cars. I'm actually kind of proud of 13 cop cars out of my parking lot. Shutting down an event.
Wow. That's wild.
And they came with papers that showed me which laws I was violating, and
Do they impose fines, or is it just more like warnings?
in this case, it was just a warning.
Mm.
But they were so upset about that previous event that they weren't going to squelch anything else happening, right?
Right. So one of the things I've seen on YouTube is some footage of a sort of, I don't know how I can best describe it, a political gathering or some sort of a meeting. How do the politics in the slabs work, and how do you play into that?
What happened there. I'm involved with Salvation Mountain, and it's a nonprofit corporation that keeps it up as a attraction, it's in Leonard's will for it to spread his message to the world of God's love and all that, And as we were getting organized, we were talking to some state officials about the toxic waste board and stuff like that. And he said, "Well, you guys could just own this property." And so we started looking into it, and with the State Lands Commission, and they were actually looking to give it to us so they wouldn't have to mess with it anymore. But of course, at Salvation Mountain, we decided, no, that's too much responsibility. We'll just apply to get this one little piece. Well, I went away from that meeting thinking that we who live here at Slab City, if they're trying to unload the property, are in danger of losing our home. And so I started going to ring the alarm bell, be Paul Revere. We got to do something here. And it turns out there's some other people who are kind of already on it. And we ended up forming another nonprofit group, 501c3, which is called Slab City Community Group, Inc. And we applied to acquire the rest of the property besides what Salvation Mountain was doing. And then the part you see about all the political hoopla and people saying, we wanted people to join, right? Our organization. And the idea of the thing was to own the property and preserve it more or less as much as possible the way it is, so people could still be here, right? But to have an owning, not be at the whim of the state, But people thought we were going to charge rent or kick out people we didn't like, or all kinds of stuff that we never even thought of. And we wanted to get people to join, and the annual dues are $1, right? And people saying, not 1 cent of tribute. I mean, people getting really angry, like we were trying to take over their lives or something,
Isn't there power in unity? Isn't there power in community? And not that you're looking for power, but at least some power over your own life and existence.
Well, the idea was if an organization of us, the people of Slab City, we wanted to recruit everybody, right, was the owner of the property, it would be protected from us being swept away in some date in the future, But people took the power thing into their minds, like we were getting power over them or something,
So then, does that mean there is really no centralized or organized group of leaders, or I'm trying to be careful with how I use the term.
No form of government whatsoever.
Okay. Does that work for the slabs?
Well, it has, but it leaves you hanging out there,
I wonder what an alternative or a compromise would look like, as far as not necessarily a government, but something that at least protects everybody as a group.
What we were going to do is we weren't going to have any government, no rules, no regulations. If you commit a crime against somebody, we call the cops just like you do anyway, right? But people couldn't see anything that simple.
Right.
Yeah. And it was just that simple. There was paranoia, literally paranoia, that these people are trying to take us over, trying to control us.
I think that with an environment that's created that's that extreme, with everybody trying to get away from any sort of authority and not live under any sort of authority, it would be a hard sell. So I can see your intentions, but I can also see why people would be defensive about it, and even if it's for the best of the community, and to protect you guys. I wanted to ask you, how has life changed in the slabs with the COVID-19 outbreak? Is everybody kind of hunkered down, and what does it look like there right now?
Well, it's public events have closed down. The range is closed. The various clubs, there's a couple of clubs that are still staying open. I don't know whether they're, you can't tell me what to do, or it's a hoax, or I guess there's some mix of all that in there,
Do you guys still have people coming in from the outside, people visiting the slabs?
Well, Salvation Mountain we've closed as well, because we don't want to have gatherings there, Salvation Mountain draws 50, 100. When we're closed, we draw 50 or 100 a day. When we're open, we could sometimes draw 1,000.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people would be going to Salvation Mountain.
So we're worried about that many people gathering in one place.
Right.
And plus, there's the fact that by our relative isolation, we're somewhat protected. We have been. But one day that's going to break, and because we live beyond the reach of water pipes and electricity, our sanitation might be something less than you might hope for if you were getting sick. So I worry that if it does come, somebody does get it, then everybody's going to get it.
Yeah.
A little bit protected because we all live farther apart than most city folks.
Sure.
Physically,
Right.
More outdoors than most folks live in.
Right.
And I think both of those things are somewhat of protection. But I still worry about that crossover happening.
Yeah.
We got the first one in our zip code yesterday.
Are they testing?
In a minuscule fashion. I think the county's tested a little over 1,000 people, which is ridiculously small. 170,000 in the county, I think.
Yeah, they'll have to beef that up as things progress. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Bill, while I have you, and anything else you want to share with the world?
Just I feel for the last 18, 19 years, the range has really been my life's work. It's the first thing I ever did in the whole world that made a difference. And now it's being shut down, and I worry about how much of our outreach and reputation and, those things have momentum to them is being lost by being dead in the water here, And, well, I'm anxious to start up, but I understand that my operation is going to be one of the last things that can start up because it involves crowds of people, So I'm suffering, I guess, in that way. I'm so far as healthy as I was before, right? My only problem is being 71 years old.
I'm a concert promoter, and I book concerts and music festivals myself, so that's why I definitely find what you're doing to be very inspiring. But I would offer you this. I would say that much like a dam, when something shuts down, as soon as it opens back up, it really rushes. That water really comes in heavy. And I hope that when you do open back up, you see a lot of support and everybody rushes back out when the time is right.
Now I'm scared of that.
Having too many people?
Well, you know, when in the early days at the range, the audience would be 6 or 7 people in the summertime, maybe 25 in the winter. You know, and now on our bigger events, we get well over 200 people. But what would I do if 1,000 showed up?
Guess you'll have to cross that bridge if that ever happens. Well, I hope to be one of those people when this all settles down. I hope to come out and visit your venue and the Slabs and really, get a feel for everything that's going on out there, because it's from afar. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I hope we do get to see you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you so much, Bill. It was really great to talk to you. And I would ask if in the future we want to give you a call back and get an update from you and from Slab City. Would you be willing to join us again in the future?
Yeah, I'm going to probably start following your thing now that I know it exists.
Do that. We output a lot of fun music and some interesting perspective, and now including your own. So thank you for being a part of this, Bill. And let's stay in touch, friend.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay safe, and we leave you with a track from Naryan Padmanabha titled Flamingo Swagger.